The Indianapolis Colts had yet another season in 2024 where they were unable to count on one singular quarterback for the entire year. In fact, every single year since 2017, the Colts have not had back-to-back seasons with the same quarterback leading the team in passing. Offensively in 2025, they're going to need Anthony Richardson to be the guy to finally break that streak, but more importantly than anything, is showing why he is as valuable as the Colts thought he was when they selected him with the fourth overall pick in 2023. It hurt even more for the Colts knowing that AR was having yet another season filled with injuries because they got an incredible productive year out of Jonathan Taylor. Taylor in 2024 matched his touchdown total from 2023 and 2022 combined, and it was his first year gaining 1,000 yards on the ground since 2021. Throw in the fact that the Colts last year had 3 wide receivers that were under the age of 24 in Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, and second-round pick Adonai Mitchell that had to go through a season where they just never had much of a chance to get much of a rapport with their young quarterback. And that stemmed even into training camp of last year because I believe Anthony Richardson was not really 100% healthy coming off of his shoulder injury that ended 2023. Even Michael Pittman Jr., who is the elder statesman of this group, struggled last year to get much momentum, given that the quarterback position was constantly under fire. Even excluding the injuries last year, AR had moments where he showed either poor character or poor play. Most notably, the time where he asked to be subbed out of the game in a divisional matchup on the road against the Houston Texans. There were also moments where people questioned the progress he has been making himself in terms of his ability to become a great or even just good NFL quarterback. It was known that it was going to take a while for Richardson to become that. With his injuries and poor play, time seemingly is starting to run out for Anthony Richardson. There was not much to write home about either for the defense, where there were games that this team made plays, and in fact, they actually were one of the best teams in the league in terms of taking the ball away. There just were too many times against the better teams in the league where they were just not good enough. This on top of the fact that the Colts' passing offense was well below average, summed up to making this team go 1-7 in games against teams with a winning record last season. Now, this group definitely underperformed, and DeForest Buckner went as far as to say that this was the worst that this defense has played since he got there in 2020, and he probably has a pretty good argument to make with that statement. Defensively, this team emphasized improving the secondary to try to make this group perform better, as Charvarius Ward and Cam Bynum both signed big-time deals to come in and be the new leaders on that side of the ball. The Colts also drafted Minnesota cornerback Justin Wally in the 3rd round, and while he was having a solid training camp, he sustained a torn ACL and will be out for the entire year. Up front for the defense, the main addition is going to be JT Tuimoloau out of Ohio State in the 2nd round. He, alongside Buckner, Kwity Paye, and second-year UCLA draft pick Laiatu Latu, will form a group that will need to help improve and bring this group higher than 25th in the league in sacks. Offensively, the biggest addition is Daniel Jones. While there is reason to wonder how in the world a guy went from getting cut by possibly one of the worst teams in the Giants last year to getting an almost fully guaranteed $14 million deal in the span of about 6 months. But this is the type of thing that happens when you have a young quarterback that has underperformed, that you kind of need to give a shot in the arm and say, let's go. The time is now to get you to improve and to get you to take the reins as the number one guy here. Now, something that could also help make AR's job a lot easier is first-round tight end Tyler Warren from Penn State. He already has made great plays in training camp, and he had a solid showing for the Colts' first preseason game this year. And so him alongside Pittman, Downs, Mitchell, and Pierce, there's reason to believe that offensively there's going to be a lot of weapons in the passing game, And if Jonathan Taylor can come in and have another really solid year, there's reason to believe that offensively, this team is going to be really good. The obvious elephant in the room to start this year is the fact that Anthony Richardson is already hurt again. Even though it was a dislocated pinky finger on his throwing hand, it honestly looked like it could have been much worse given that David Ojabo of the Ravens had as free of a hit on the quarterback as you could ever dream of as a defender. But again, it is just kind of the constant thing with Anthony Richardson that he's just been hurt pretty much ever since he got into the league. And it has really derailed his ability to improve, his ability to take control of the offense, and his ability to be as good of a player as he can be. Looking at the Colts' schedule in 2025, I still don't see them as anything better than maybe the third best team in their division, just kind of depending on how Jacksonville performs this year. The Tennessee Titans are going to be obviously rebuilding around Cam Ward, but outside of the division, you have some pretty tough games against teams that I think are just flat out better than the Colts. You have Denver, Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Kansas City, San Francisco. I just see these teams as better, a little bit better put together in terms of their cohesiveness with the quarterback position, with the head coach position. I think the Colts are honestly going into a year where Shane Steichen might be on the hot seat. This is a team in the Indianapolis Colts that are going to be going through an ownership, not really change, but the regime is definitely much different than it was with Jim Irsay at the helm. And so it's always kind of that thing that happens when there's new ownership, that the coach, the general manager, quarterback, the rest of the players, like there's always a chance that these guys could be gone within a couple of years. And especially if this team really does not perform well, like I kind of think there's a chance that happens this year. I just see that this could be a team looking to restart the rebuild, move on from Shane Steichen, move on from Anthony Richardson, get whatever you can out of Michael Pittman and Jonathan Taylor and guys on the defense like Kenny Moore or DeForest Buckner. And because of that, I really think a floor for this team, I could easily see 3-14, 2-15 if things go really sideways. I mean, if Anthony Richardson is not able to get healthy, if they have to turn to Daniel Jones and he turns into the turnover machine that we've seen him be before, defensively, they're just not much better than they were last year. Offensively, they really didn't make much of a change other than bringing in Tyler Warren. But I don't know if with how Anthony Richardson has played, if a tight end is really going to make much of a difference with his play style. There's been guys on this team at that position that I think the Colts have been really high on in previous years, and nothing really happens. So ceiling-wise, this team could make the playoffs. If things go really right, if defensively they really improve, which I think in the secondary, they are improved. Even with the injury to Justin Wally, their third-round cornerback, I think with Kenny Moore, Cam Bynum, Charvarius Ward, you have a secondary that has a lot of veteran players as well as a lot of talent. And you have a pass rush that's pretty deep between Pay, Buckner, and all of the other guys that are on this team now. This could be a team that's 10-7. They could win the division. They could, host a playoff game this year. But I just don't see, that's kind of if everything goes right. If everyone stays healthy, especially their quarterback, they could do it. But I'm not willing to bet on something that this team hasn't proved they can do with how they are currently constructed.